Hey y'all, it's Victoria, and I am taking you with me on a little sourcing trip at my favorite antique mall in Ohio. So, back in February, my husband and I had to take an impromptu trip back to his hometown where his uncle had passed away. So, we jetted out without the kids and headed up. And the one thing I did get to do while I was there after the funeral was to head over to Springfield, which is actually where my husband was born, and they have these massive antique stores. So they are not just a store, as you can see over there to the left, they are warehouses full of antiques. In this particular spot, there are two. There's that first one you just saw, and then there's one behind it. And the one behind it is actually my favorite antique store. I have a lot of my greatest finds in my home that came from this antique mall way back when I used to live in the Dayton area. So I thought I would take a little trip. It's been a long time since I've been there. As you can see, there's snow on the ground. I live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We don't have snow ever. And it was a little treat for me to be able to see snow. There's a little bit of snow coming down. I was squealing a little bit, I have to tell you. I get very excited about snow. Those of you who live around snow probably hate winter. I know my husband does, but I get so excited like a little kid. It just never gets old to me, and it was such a treat to have a little bit of snow flurries coming down and snow on the ground. It just really made for a nice little quick trip, and on top of that, to be able to go to my favorite antique shopping center that I have not been to in so long really was the icing on the cake. One of my favorite pieces of furniture is a Haywood Wakefield end table. Bought it way back when mid-century modern was sort of out of vogue at the time, and I only paid $50 for it. I also have some beautiful fiberglass lampshades that were purchased here, and some other things that I just treasure around my house. So very excited to be at this shopping mall. All right, so coming into the building, the first thing you see is a group of glass showcases. This one was particularly special because it had a bunch of Walt Disney memorabilia. It had toys and figurines and all of Walt's special characters. Love this so much. You can see some really old Mickey Mouse there, and very cool. So I took these shots to show you how large this place is. You can't even see at the end of the aisles. As I told you, this was store number 2. So there's actually a store in front of this one, and they're both about the same size. This store is 75,000 square feet. So that tells you how big it is. Look down this glass showcase aisle. You can barely even see the end of the aisle. So we had a limited amount of time, and I had to choose one. There's actually another one that's down the street from this one also, called the Heart of Ohio Antiques. It's great also. Really like that one, but we only had time for one. As you can imagine, it takes a while to walk around 75,000 square feet of antiques. Okay, so starting down the first aisle, this first booth caught my eye, of course, for all the vintage glassware and bakeware. You can see some Anchor Hocking ruby red right there up front. Really love that. I'm trying to pick up more glassware and bakeware to resell. Antique stores can really be a good spot because sometimes it's reasonably priced enough where you can get a return on your money. You don't always have to go to the thrift store, and you have a better selection. If you didn't already see, I've done a video on Fire King talking about different patterns and the history of the Anchor Hocking Fire King line, and I'll link that above in case you haven't seen that yet. I was looking for some glass refrigerator bowls for myself, and then I spotted this Fire King ombre pattern, really cool, but 1970s, not really my era. I'm always looking for glass refrigerator dishes because I try to limit the plastic in my home. It's just a personal choice. So I use a lot of vintage glassware to store my leftovers. They do have some modern options. I have some Pyrex ones that have rubber lids that are great, but I do like the glass that's vintage. Here's some more Fire King in that iridescent finish that I talked about in my Fire King video. So again, check that out if you haven't seen it already. You're going to see me skimming these booths pretty much. I'm not looking at everything because there's no way we can go through all of it. But you will see me pick up milk glass and look at milk glass. You will see me pick up bakeware. You will see me pick up American pottery. I'm generally drawn to anything that's mid-century. There's some Fire King, the snack line that I talked about in my Fire King video. But anything that's mid-century modern, I'm going to be drawn to. So my husband's over here, Joshua, he's looking at the records. We have an extensive record collection. So he's looking through the vinyl to see if there's anything that maybe we don't have. And there's a bunch of vintage Playboys. So we use Discogs, which is a website for vinyl and vinyl collectors. You can input your whole collection in there, and it makes it easier when you go shopping and you're out looking for new records for your collection, because I can't remember every single record we have. So we often will look at our Discogs on the app and see, do we have this record? And or do we have this version of this record? And that way we know, and we always have it at our fingertips. Wouldn't that be great for antiques too, to know what we have? So I said I'm always drawn to mid-century modern. Here is a fiberglass lampshade. But let's talk about the stereotypes in antiques. You just saw the little Chinese girls on that lamp. I am looking at this flag because I collect those flags. But you also see these little black children. Okay, so when you go to an antique mall, if you've never been to one, you are going to see some things that may be offensive to your sensibilities. They may be stereotypes. They may be even racist or wrong, or all these things, okay? I just want to warn you that you may see these things. It may upset you, and they were from a different time period. That is totally not an excuse. These vendors decide what they feel is appropriate to sell, just as you can do that too. And by the way, that's me in the mirror. Hi. So just a warning, you may see things that are offensive because times have changed. We know that. Things that were okay and norm back in the day are not normalized and are offensive now. And so just be aware that you may see those sorts of things, both on this video, because I'm walking around an antique store. I have no control over what these vendors are selling, but also when you go out and visit these places, that there is a probability you may run into those sorts of things. So this is another Fire King dish. This is the hand-painted fruit. I mentioned these probably in my Fire King video. I don't know if I showed them, but there's a really good example where the paint looks great. Sometimes you find them and the paint is very chipped off. There's some more milk glass. And this booth has a lot of mid-century stuff, so I was really drawn to it. And a little spoiler, I do buy something from this booth. So this side had so many pastels, which I love pastels, but there were also some Christmas figurines. And if you missed my Merry Kitschmas series, I love vintage Christmas. I have a super large collection. It's, I believe, the largest collection of anything I have. And this little Santa right here, I was looking for a price tag. He didn't have one, but he was so stinking cute, and I did end up taking him home. A young man who worked there walked by, and I gave it to him, and he went and called, and I believe it was like $12, but I got it. And then there's a scary Santa, like sunburnt Santa. I don't know. What is that? He was scary. You guys know that I'm going to go and look at all the glass ornaments. Again, my Merry Kitschmas series, I cover all the mercury glass, shiny brights, glass ornaments. So definitely check that out. These were a little too highly priced for me. Oh, I loved that box so much, but it was $35, so I was not going to pay $35 for a box of like 6 glass ornaments. Yeah, not happening. But anyway, very cute. And I would have definitely got it if it had been a little bit cheaper, but this is a little record tote. I thought that was so cute. You can put your little 45s in it, take it to your friend's house, and go listen to records with your friends. People don't do that these days, but I like to think that my friends would do that with me. I don't know. Would you guys do that? Would you come over and have a little record party with me? I was showing you guys, this is glass bake, and I've sold that pattern before many times. I'll talk about that in my glass bake video. This is a Mark's house. This is a tin house, very popular with mid-century collectors because it's a mid-century ranch. And here is some more Fire King. I actually used to own that dish and the devil egg dish. And then up, is that American pottery? Yep, it's a McCoy. Now you have to check because a lot of times these antique dealers will put McCoy. See, I had to check. They'll put McCoy on the tag as if all American pottery is McCoy. McCoy is probably the most widely known American pottery brand. They're not all McCoy, so definitely check. This is Desert Rose. It's a Franciscan pattern. I actually own a giant set of that belonged to my great aunt, and her family didn't really have any use for it, so I have it. I need to have a dinner party and use it because it is beautiful. And then I'm just looking at more. Here's some more Fire King. That had like a scalloped end at the bottom. I thought that was really cool. Those pink dishes that I'm turning. Again, some more American pottery. This was a really cool pattern that I'm showing you guys upside down. That's actually Red Wing. And there we go. That's Red Wing. I will talk about them in a future video, so stay tuned for that. Make sure if you're not already subscribed to our channel that you subscribe, because there is so much on the mid-century agenda that it's going to take me years to be able to get through making videos for you guys. But I love the history. I think that's why I'm such a nerd for antiques. So I love making the videos. That is some melamine plastic, and I'm going to have a video about that coming up in my mid-century series. And this is some Hazel Atlas. Love the Hazel Atlas pink and black. Cups, teacups, those are really cute. I used to own a set of those, and I did sell them, and they come in like a little teal and black too. You get to a point where you have so many collections of dishes and you're never going to use them all, so I do like to pass them along and share them. I thought that was interesting because that is another melamine plastic. That is Waterton Lifetime. I had never seen that before, so definitely will do some research on that brand when I do my melamine plastic video for you guys on my mid-century series. I thought these glasses were really cute. The Dancing Girls, very 1920s feel, Art Deco. And then I found this cool sun lamp. Yeah, definitely roast yourself. The new improved 2-in-1 ultraviolet and infrared lamp for health benefits. Yeah, probably give you skin cancer. I don't know. And then I found this amazing vintage hammock chair. Sorry it's upside down. The box was upside down, but it is still in the box, you guys. So cool. But it was $65. I don't know, maybe I should have got it. It's very neat, especially to find something like that in a box. And then I found some very old American pottery that I'm showing you. No markings. This is probably early mid-century era, probably 1940s, but very beautiful. I love the pastel colors, the pink and the mint green and the peach. Very beautiful. Oh, and look, it's a present for you. So a part of my collection that I do want to grow is my mid-century advertising and merchandising pieces. These are graphics pieces, anything that has typography and graphics. I have a beautiful lard box of all things because lard was used a lot in cooking, and I just love it. The graphics, the pastels. I am a freelance graphic designer, so it makes sense that I'm drawn to these sorts of packaging and advertising things, and so I want to get some more for my collection. These are glove forms. My friend has a lot of these. I really like hers because they're a lot older than these. I didn't like these as much as hers, so I did pass on them. Y'all, check this out. If you have been around my channel, you know that I love vintage Christmas. I mentioned that earlier, but also I love party planning. I am a hostess, and this is a vintage Christmas tree that's actually a lighter and some tiny ashtrays, because during the mid-century period, it was all about being the best hostess, and I love hosting. I really do. People don't smoke in my house, so I probably wouldn't get this, and also it was $45, so I did pass on it, but I wanted to share it because I thought it was neat. You would never know it was a lighter and some ashtrays. And then you saw me mention these when I went to the flea market with Rachel. These are jam jars. You would purchase jam at the grocery store, and they would come in these really cool milk glass jars. But this dealer was selling all of those apples and strawberries as a set, so you had to buy them all together. So yeah, that was a little much. They were priced a little too high for me to even resell some of them, so I did pass on that. But there were some other really neat things in this booth. A lot of bakeware, as you can see. Really cool. Some of them priced a little too much. I loved this piece. So it was American pottery. It was a baking dish that had a lid. Don't know that it was fire safe, but very cool. And then there were these lime green Pyrex dishes. Loved those. Loved that color. This booth also had a lot of graphic glasses. These floral glasses were really popular for little orange juice glasses. There's a bunch of dishes and a McCoy American Pottery planner. I didn't like the finish on this too much. I did like the color, but there were just some issues with it. And then I spotted some more American Pottery. You've heard me talk about these. These are wall planters. I have a small collection of them. You've probably seen me mention them in other videos. This is Anchor Hocking. I talked about this in my Fire King video, and this is a rather complete set of the early 1940s. Some just bottles and just some neat pieces in that booth, but a little too highly priced. Oh, there's another of those wall vases. Thought that was a really cool chair, but don't really have room for any more chairs. And loved this vintage advertisement for Better Homes and Gardens. Very cool. This is the modern tulip pattern from Fire King. You saw me mention them in my Fire King video. Notice that that is priced at $150. So you saw pictures of those, but that is it live and in person. This is McKee. These bowls are a little more rare. I will make a video about this company, but you will know them by that bell shape. So they look like Pyrex, but the shape of the bowl is a little bit different. So that's a way to identify them. So then I stumbled on the mother lode of vintage and antique Halloween. I mentioned this in the estate sale video where Rachel and I went shopping, and they had a bunch of Halloween stuff. The really old Halloween is very rare. So it wasn't popularized until the mid-century era, where it's similar to how Halloween is today. Look at some of those price tags: $1,495, $495, $295, and $395 for those really small figurines. They are very collectible, and that's because they were so rare. A lot of them were made out of paper mache. And then also the really old Christmas, those are Putz houses. I mentioned those little cardboard houses in my Merry Kitchemas series. They are also highly collectible. Not as collectible as the Halloween stuff that I mentioned, but again, very collectible, very sought after. Both vintage Christmas and vintage Halloween are something that resellers should consider being on the lookout for. I filmed this little piece of restaurant wear. It reminds me of my friend Bob. She sells a lot of restaurant wear. Found these costumes, very cool vintage paper mask. Here's some jadeite. Usually if you find jadeite, it's probably going to be priced up. It is the most popular of Fire King. And then I found this beautiful shelf, all the American pottery. A lot of it was McCoy. Some of them I have the pieces already. Lots of pastels, which I'm a sucker for. But this is what I'm looking for when I'm looking at American pottery. This was a Remington Princess razor. Look at that cool case. You guys, I mean, even the razors back in the day were cool. And this is a miniature Roseville little dogwood piece. Very cute. Again, American pottery. I'm a sucker. These were some Toby mugs. If you haven't seen my most recent What Sold video, I picked up a Toby mug for around $2 at the Goodwill bins in Mobile, Alabama, and I sold it on eBay for $185. So great sale. This was a vintage Kathy Quick Curl doll. I do not sell vintage toys or dolls. My friends do. My friend Gayla is a very big collector herself and then also resells. And this is a vintage board game, Stock Market. And I really like the graphics on it, but I honestly don't know a lot about toys and board games unless it's stuff that I grew up with. So I don't tend to resell that sort of stuff just because I don't have a good knowledge base. This looked like a Schwinn Stingray. I actually own a red one with the banana seat. I'll have to show that to you guys someday. It's from the 1970s, totally a kid's bike, but I love that, dude. And then, of course, there's blow molds. You know I love blow molds. If you haven't seen my Mary Kitchmas video on blow molds, you can learn all about the history of blow molds and the companies that made them. That little miniature Santa, I have a lot of those, and I actually bought another one this day. Not from this booth. These were a little overpriced, but I did get one from another booth. And so just another blow mold to add to my collection. This would be a good time to tell you, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, we would love to have you. Definitely consider subscribing. We like to do informational, educational videos on antiques and collectibles, but also we have a wide range of other videos on our channel, so definitely consider sticking around. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, because it tells us what kind of content to create. It also lets other people on YouTube see the video. This is another American pottery vase. It is marked USA on the bottom, but the vendor marked it Shawnee/McCoy, which were two makers of American pottery. This vase is neither Shawnee or McCoy. So it just tells you vendors don't know everything about what they're selling. Sometimes you can get great deals. Those were some more American pottery fish. Then there was this huge piece. I kind of pointed the camera down because I was looking at it so closely. But it's American pottery, and it was this huge shell with the fish. Beautiful. $115. It was a hull, which is another American pottery maker that I will talk about in a future video. These are some chalkware swans. I have a chalkware video planned for my mid-century series. I'm also going to talk about planters and TV lamps. That's a TV lamp right there. But this planter that's next to it was really neat. I had never seen one like this. It is a ranch style house from like the 1950s. It was only $35. It was large. I thought about getting it, but I really don't have room for it. That was a Crazy Daisy baking dish. I am more 1945 to 1965, but if you're into the late 60s and the 70s, Crazy Daisy is the pattern for you. This is Blue Heaven. This is, again, American pottery. It is a China pattern. I talk about this in the Fire King video briefly because I have a crossover they did with Blue Heaven and Fire King. That pattern is one of the most collectible mid-century China patterns. This is another piece from it. Although I don't collect the China itself, I have purchased it many times to resell. It has a phenomenal resale value because it's so collectible. And I actually bought a huge set from an antique store in a little town in Louisiana, and I actually doubled my money on my purchase. I lotted out the dishes, so I bought a big box and then lotted them out and made a great profit on that. So that is also something you can do. So don't think if you go into an antique store you can't find things to resell. This is some Anchor Hocking uranium glass. It glows under a UV light, this bright color. I will do a video on uranium glass. I know I keep talking about all these videos I'm going to do, but there's just so much mid-century stuff to talk about. This is a juice glass container that I used to actually own, and I ended up getting rid of it. I resold it. This one was only $15. I thought about getting it, but the lid leaked a little bit because of the type of plastic it was made out of, so I don't know, I passed on it. This is a Primrose pattern Fire King Devil's Egg dish. I talked about it in the Fire King video. This is another American pottery vase. Like I said, I'm always drawn to those, but it was only $15, but I do have a lot of them, so I did pass on that one. Then I wanted to show you these framed watercolor prints. I love how flat and matte these paintings are. I have a collection of dogwoods and magnolias, which are southern flowers, in my living room. I'll have to show those to you guys one day. And then I found this really cool Federal glass bowl. I'm going to do a Federal glass video for you guys. This was a Jack's Brewery, which is Jack's beer out of New Orleans. I live very close to New Orleans, so I thought it was really cool that here we were in Ohio and there is a Jack's beer clock. Very cool. This booth had a ton of mid-century lamps. This is a rocket lamp. You can see it's textured. It's got that, atomic base. Very cool. There was a lot of fiberglass lampshades in this booth. I have a large collection of fiberglass lampshades. I'm actually going to not only do a video on fiberglass lampshades, but I'm going to show you how to repair them. So I thought that would be an interesting video. Got a couple that need updating. So I really liked that red fiberglass lampshade right there, but I don't think that bullet lamp was the original lamp to it. This is another highly collectible Fire King. These are the tulips. Beautiful condition. You can see there's only one bowl and it was $75. And then some more Putz houses to show you. Again, very collectible. Those were not as ornate as the other ones I had showed you earlier, but again, still very valuable. They're very delicate and really neat. There's a beautiful vintage glass tree type topper. I just thought it was so pretty. And of course, Santa down there. And this is getting to the end of the antique mall. We are on the last aisle, just so you know. I did skip filming a lot because there's no way I could have filmed everything in this massive shopping center. I mean, it is so huge, so stuffed with amazing finds. And I definitely recommend, if you are in the Dayton, Springfield area, if you're driving down Interstate 70, that you do stop on by. But don't you dare buy this whole planner with this bird on it, because I'm going to go back and buy that bad boy. So last stop here, we're having dinner with my best friend and her son. I had to overdub this because Joshua is singing Build Me Up Buttercup by The Foundations, and couldn't put that out there because, YouTube doesn't like you to use copyrighted songs. That is actually some vegan chicken and waffles. So good. So yummy. And now we are saying goodbye to Dayton. I will miss Dayton. I have so many wonderful, happy memories in this town. Again, Ohio is a great place to go sourcing. Their thrift stores are great. They have so many, and they're not highly picked over. Also, the antique malls, reasonably priced. There's so many. And not only are they just antique stores, but they are these massive warehouse shopping centers. So if you have a chance to go shopping in Ohio, definitely recommend it. It is just wonderful. And then as we leave Dayton, I wanted to show you guys, this is a giant statue of Jesus. It actually used to be called or nicknamed Touchdown Jesus. He got struck by lightning. You should definitely Google it and watch the video. It's crazy, set on fire. Now he's Give Me a Hug Jesus. So you can see that on Interstate 75 in Ohio. And then also, this is Cincinnati. We are just about to cross over into Kentucky. I have a lot of friends who live in the Cincinnati area. Dayton is uniquely set between Columbus and Cincinnati. So we did a lot of traveling. We have friends that live in both larger cities of Columbus and Cincinnati. So yeah, this is our goodbye to what we know of Ohio, and we're driving into Kentucky and we'll be headed home. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Definitely make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more Antique With Me videos. I love doing these. I love telling you about what I know about antiques, and I hope that you enjoy them too. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!